Hello friends, welcome. Today I'm going to talk to you about the Beej or the seed mantra. This has been on my mind for quite some time, and so I thought I'll get past this. And so in this presentation, I'm going to discuss about my thoughts on the seed mantra. Now, many of you might be aware of what a seed or the Beej mantra is. And so let me get first started with a couple of examples. And some more.
Gleam Shreem Brizzy. Om Gleam Shreem Brizzy. Om Gleam Shreem Brizzy.
Now, these were some of the examples of the Beej mantra. You might have heard these mantras many times. Some of you might be aware that these are called the Beej mantras, and a few of them who are not aware, these kind of mantras are called the Beej mantras. So let's look at the, that now some of the mantras in the video that you saw, like especially in the yogic tradition, they have this lam, vam, those kind of sound patterns, and in the tantric tradition it has shreem, kleem, reem, those kind of sound patterns. Now let's look at some of the stereotype definitions. Now this is one of the definition that I was able to pull on the Google, and most of the definitions were around this. So what it says, what is a Beej mantra? Beej means seed. Now this is correct. The Beej means seed. The Beej mantras are one syllable seed sound. This is also correct. That when said aloud activate the energy of the chakra. Now from this point onwards, most of the stereotype definitions that you find on the Google are incorrect. So we'll just strike out this, and like when they mention, especially when you search on the Google, and the definition on the Beej mantra is that when you speak the Beej mantras, you resonate with the energy of the associated chakras, helping you focus upon your body and its need. These definitions are very petty definitions. They tend to trivialize the importance and the significance of the Beej mantra. So I'm going to discuss, what my experience and what my thoughts are, so that you get some kind of a handle on what, the purpose of the Beej mantra is. Now, when you talk about the Beej mantra, the very word Beej, which means seed, the 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 first idea that should come to your mind is that, okay, I got the Beej. You heard about those Beej mantra sound in the videos that I played, but where is the ground? On what ground should these Beej or the seed should be planted? So the first question should be about the ground, finding the ground. What is the ground where this Beej has to be planted? Without the appropriate ground, seed mantra is useless. For example, if you recite the Beej mantra for million times, 2 million times, 3 million times, this is just like, going to your backyard, to your garden, and trying to uh, uh, put water and nourish a ground where there is no seed. There is no seed in this ground, and you are making your effort to nourish a beach where there is no beach, there is no seed. So these kind of definition, these kind of definitions are incomplete. That when you speak the Bij mantra, you resonate with the energy of the associated chakra, or when you speak the Bij mantra as if that alone is sufficient. No, that's not sufficient. First, you have to find the ground. Unless you have found the ground, then you go on in your garden and you are nourishing, the part of the garden, thinking that there is some seed, though there is no seed. This might be good for some, health or relaxing, point of view. But thinking that there is some seed from which some plant or some tree will come up, this is incorrect. So the first exercise is that finding the understanding the ground. You know the seed, you have heard about the seed mantras, the beej mantras in the video. Now let's look at what kind of ground is needed to plant these kind of seeds. So from the mantra shastra point of view, your consciousness is divided into four parts. This is you, the upper part. This is called Vakri, and this is the Madhyama, the yellow part, and then the Pashanti, which is the name of this channel also, the green part, and finally the Para, the blue part. So your consciousness is divided into the four part. This is where you are most of the time. For example, when you are listening to this video, thinking about this video, or in your day-to-day activities when you are going to the office or driving a car or interacting with other people, those kind of stuff. So that's the uppermost topsoil, I would say, and this is called Vakri. Now the word Vakri, this is a Sanskrit word, and from this, the word Vakya or the sentence is derived. So Vakri usually means the day-to-day interaction, the how we are, the topmost soil. So where we are. So this ground is not appropriate for the plantation of the seed or the Beej mantra. Now the next layer in the mantra shas is called the Madhyama, the yellow one. Okay. This is the ground that is required for the plantation of the seed or the Beej mantra. So Madhyama is the needed ground where you might want to plant your seed of the Beej mantra so that it can nourish, it can flourish, and it can give some results. So Vakri will not help, but Madhyama will help. Now the next question is how do we, access the Madhyama? You are on the top soil, and but you want to access this particular, ground, the Madhyama. How do you do that? So now there are two, different approaches in the mantra shastra. One is the bottom up approach, and one is the top down. So the bottom up approach is where the Madhyama ground is exposed so that you can access it and you can make use of it and you can plant the seed. So that's called the bottom up approach. But what we need to do for this bottom up approach so that the Madhyama gets exposed and we can plant the seed. There are a lot many different scenarios in the mantrashas, but I'm going to talk about the popular one, the usual one that you would be able to understand and you would be able to relate with. The Madhyama, this ground, gets exposed to you easily when you are in a mindset that is going through an extreme emotional turmoil. When you are in a kind of emotional roller coaster and you're swept away by your emotion, that is the time when the Madhyama gets exposed and you can make use of this uh, bottom up approach. Now, some of the common scenarios of the extreme emotional turmoil are like being in extreme anger. You'll be surprised, but extreme anger is one state of mind where you are on an emotional roller coaster and the Madhyama gets exposed. But this is not an appropriate stage because when somebody is in extreme anger, then he or she is in a state of mind where she or he can kill someone or maybe they can harm themselves. So this is not the mind or the mindset for the plantation of seeds. Though the Madhyama gets exposed in this stage, but in the anger is not the appropriate stage for plantation of any seed. Second is the extreme love. when you are head over heels in love with someone. And I'm talking about not the casual, kind of a love. It's an extreme stage of infatuation. You might have read stories about Romeo Juliet or Shiri Farhat or Leila Manjun, that kind of extreme stage. When that kind of extreme stage happens, then also the Madhyama gets exposed and is easily accessible. But this stage is also not appropriate for the Beej mantra or the seed mantra. This stage is more appropriate for the bhakti, okay, because the stage of love is such, and in our various paths of meditation, bhakti is also one. So when somebody is like head over heels in love, extreme love, then the bhakti is more appropriate. So in mantra, this might not be a very appropriate stage for the seed mantra or the beej mantra. Now, third is the extreme sadness. When somebody is in a stage of extreme grief or misery or sadness, I'm not talking about depression. I'm talking about extreme sadness. And some of the examples, might be able to illustrate. Like you might have read about the story of Buddha renouncing the world. You have to get into Buddha's shoes and think about that particular mindset that Buddha underwent when he left his kingdom, he left his wife, he left his son, he left all his empire, money, and everything, and went to the forest. This is a stage of extreme sadness, not a casual stage, very passionate, very extreme stage of sadness. There's another story of around Buddha about a mother whose a young son, has died, and she is in a state of extreme grief and extreme sadness, and she approaches Buddha. Now, when you are in the stage of extreme sadness, one of the things that you will notice is that fear is gone, and many of you might have been in the stage of extreme sadness for whatever reason, and but you might have not noticed that at that stage the fear is gone. Now the places or the things that you are afraid of, you are not afraid of. This is very important what I'm saying, that in the stage of extreme sadness the fear is gone. And so this the very state of mind in the extreme sadness when the fear is gone is often used in the shamshan sadhana. Shamshan means the funeral ground or the burial ground where we take the dead bodies to be buried or to be put on the pyre. So in especially in the Indian tradition of sadhana, there is one state of sadhana is called Shamshan sadhana. Now, in Indian philosophy, pretty much every opportunity that could be converted into some kind of meditation or some kind of sadhana has been exploited. And this is the beauty of the Indian philosophical tradition. So, even the stage of extreme sadness has been exploited, and one of the path that exploits this particular state of mind is called Shamshan Sadhana. And if you read the Mantra Shastra books, you will come across, the Shamshan Sadhana. Now, there is a lot of confusion and misconceptions about this Shamshan Sadhana. When I was browsing on the Google about the Shamshan Sadhana, I came across several videos, and I thought that there is some very different kind of explanation about the Shamshan Sadhana. So I'm going to take a little, detour over here, and I'm going to just explain that how the whole concept of Shamshan Sadhana, which was actually meant to harness something of entirely different nature, has now converted into some kind of a Bollywood, show. So now these are some of the images that I extracted from the so-called Shamshan Sadhana, and it's usually called the Aghori Sadhana. You might want to just search on the Google videos, YouTube videos, and you'll come across all these various kind of sadhana around going to the burial ground or going to the Shamshan Ghat or going to the funeral ground and doing some sadhana. And this is usually called as the Aghori sadhana. Now, this is a very, very misappropriate understanding of the word Aghori. First, we have to understand what this word Aghori means. Now, in Sanskrit or Hindi, the Ghor word means complicated. Like we often say Ghangor or Ghor. So, Ghor means complicated. And Aghor means one that is not complicated. So, one that is not complicated means one that is simple, one that is Sahaj, one that is childlike, one that is very simple. That is what the word Aghor means. So, that this is the first thing that you have to understand, that what this particular word Aghor conveys. Aghor conveys a childlike, a simple state of mind. Now, when you look at these images, I don't know what kind of impression you get on your mind. This doesn't seems to be like a childlike state. This seems to be a very complicated kind of mindset. Something like, I would say, Gangor, or very complicated. And some of the videos or some of the stories about this Agori sadhana, so called the Agori sadhana, uh, has been created by CNN. You might want to watch and see what kind of things goes on in the name of Agori sadhana. The word Agori, that was supposed to be simple, one that is not complicated, and there's a lot of complication around these stories. And you see all these horrifying images of people doing whatever things. And I guess some of these might need a place in some kind of a psychological counseling facility, or a mental, counseling facility. They tend to go to all these funeral places and do things that are that has nothing to do with the Agori sadhana. Now, the Aghori sadhana has some attributes which are common. Like, you see them naked and they have these skulls and they eat anything, those kind of stuff. I have had some experiences with these kind of people in my life, just a few, and I was very disappointed with, and I thought that these people should immediately be admitted to some kind of a mental correction facility. So, but about these the attributes or these gestures which are particularly associated with the Agori sadhana. So what are the, like the skulls? You know, most of these Agoris, they will wear a garland of a skull. So, and or they will put ashes around their body. These are very symbolic kind of attributes. So what the symbolic kind of attributes means, that putting ashes means what? Putting ashes means that with the ash you cannot build any solid foundation. You know, ash is a very amorphous. You cannot build anything concrete out of this. So that is a very symbolic meaning of putting ashes. That anything that you do in life, any achievement, any success, these are all like building air castles. They have no solid foundation. And the skull means the impermanence of life, which means whatever you achieve in this life has no value, has no importance, because ultimately the death is going to swallow everything that you have achieved in this life. And then third is the being naked. A lot of these agoris, you see, they don't wear any clothes. So this means that the a person who is in the state of agori, or the simplicity, is indifferent to wearing clothes or not wearing clothes. Okay, so these are some of the outward attributes of the agori sadhana, where they try to tell you that they don't discriminate, and they have fully understood. This word is important, that they have fully understood the impermanence of life, and there is, at the end of the life, or at the end of the all kind of achievements, the death is waiting. The death will take away everything. And ashes means like no solid foundation. I will just give you a little bit of a hint over here, that what is happening, the what is the incorrect attributes or the outward attributes in the Agori sadhana. Now if you look at the, this the Lord Krishna's two photos that I put over here. Here the Lord Krishna is naked, not wearing anything, and here the Lord Krishna is wearing something. This is Krishna's, Lord Krishna's images in his child format. So what happens is, when you look at a child is totally indifferent to whether he or she is wearing any clothes or not, whether he is naked or whether he is wearing clothes. So what happens is that when a person, or when a ghori or the aghor, a person in a childlike mindset, when a person gets into that kind of a situation, then the wearing of the clothes or not wearing of the clothes or not discriminating between things, it happens naturally. For a child, these things are happening naturally. This is a state of child's mind, not by, if you don't wear clothes or if you put ashes, you are not going to become childlike. This is a very a different kind of approach. So what I'm trying to say is that when you do these kind of things, you are not going to become childlike. You are not going to become this. But when you are childlike, then you are going to become like this. So that is what this particular word agor or the agori means. One that has become childlike. So I want to just clarify a little bit about on this agori tradition. I have read a lot on agori tradition. This is one of the very wonderful tradition that the Indian sadhana mark had. But now looking at all these images, I think that this has become very inappropriate, very misleading. So that's why I took a little detour and spoke up to you about the Shamshan sadhana. So anyway, let's continue our journey, and let's go to the uh, the the ground that is needed for the Beej mantra or for the seed. So we discuss about the top-down approach, where uh, where this particular ground get exposed, and then you are able to exploit it to your advantage. But then you have to be, or one a person has to be in that particular state of extreme emotional turmoil. Now that state is not readily available. Your question might be, okay, now I am not in anger, or I am not in extreme love, or I have no opportunity to get into a state of mind of extreme grief. So how do I approach the madhyama from the top down? Okay, that means by putting your effort, is there a way that you can access this particular ground and plant a seed, the beej or the beej mantra that is going to do its work? So there are a few scenarios or the few method that are mentioned in the mantra sadhana, but I'm going to discuss about a very common thing that you can actually experiment. Now, one of the thing that we many of you might be aware of, it's called rechak. What does rechak means? Rechak is basically when you sit in the, or in any posture, not necessarily in this posture, in any posture, and then you throw your air out. You have to throw your air out from the mouth or from the nostril like this, and then you have to hold it. When you hold, when you throw your air out, when you breathe it out, and then you close your nostril and the mouth, and then what happens is your body starts clamoring for the air to come in. Okay, you can do this experiment. If you have some medical condition, then you shouldn't do it. But rechak is very simple. You sit down in any posture, and then you throw out all the air from your lungs. You throw out everything, all the air, and then you don't let any air go inside you. You do just do it for a few seconds, and then what you feel is that the entire cell of your body is kind of reaching out, is kind of forcing you to have one fresh air, come into your lungs. You can do this. That is the state. That is the stage when you don't have any thoughts in your mind. Your entire body is fighting against your will, and your entire body is trying to get one breath of fresh air. This is one approach where this this is a top down approach where you are forcing, or you are paving your way, or you are making your way to the Madhyama ground. So, but recheck has to be practice. You shouldn't force it. You have to find a guide who can help you in practicing this recheck. Now, the next question is, okay, after doing a certain practice of recheck over a period of time, okay, you might be able to access this Madhyama by your own efforts without getting into any turbulent state of mind. But how do you plant a seed in this ground? Now, in the Mantra Shastra, it is written that if this ground gets exposed to you by your own effort, then the appropriate mantra or the Beej mantra appears in your dream. This is called as the Swapna Diksha. It appears in your dream that what kind of mantra is required, what kind of seed is required. The ground is already exposed, and what kind of seed is required to plant in the Madhyama ground. So, but it needs a lot of practice. It needs a guidance. It needs instruction from someone who already knows. And s- and when this particular ground gets exposed, the Madhyama gets exposed by your efforts without getting into any emotional turmoil, then the whole phenomena of the Beej or seed mantra appears in your dream. So that's the top-down approach. Now, the most common and the most honored approach is the Guru. What Guru does is that Guru is aware of both the things. Guru is aware of your Madhyama, the potential of your Madhyama, what kind of seed is required to be planted in the Madhyama. And so, when you take a Diksha from the Guru, or when you get an initiation from the Guru, then usually, not all the time, but usually what Guru does is that Guru is going to touch your third eye or the forehead or the Agya chakra. Or sometimes they even touch, one of the chakras in the back of your spinal cord. So this is a more a symbolic, and but it is at the same time a metaphysical and a mysterious process. And in this process, what Guru is doing is that he or she is planting a seed into your Madhyama ground. So that is what the importance and the significance. One of the importance. There are many other importance of the Guru is, but one of the importance is that Guru understands where your Madhyama is and what kind of seed is required. So Guru does that for you. So that is how, through the power of the Guru and through the transmission. Now this transmission has many different kind of words in the especially in the Indian sadhana path. It is called as the Shakti path, it's called the transmission, it's called as the Anugrah, it's called as the Kripa. All these words basically mean the same thing, that Guru has planted the seed in the Madhyama ground for you. Now, the planting of the seed alone is not sufficient. After that, what you have to do is you have to still do some kind of a sadhana. Guru has planted the seed, but that seed is lying in a dormant state of affairs, and still you have to do some sadhana, you have to do some meditation. Just like you know that there is a seed planted in the ground, then you have to water it, you have to provide nourishment, you have to take care of the seed so that the seed can convert into a tree. Similarly, in whatever way the seed is planted into the Madhyama ground, it doesn't mean any magic is going to happen immediately. You still have to, or one has to do all kind of a sadhana to take care of that seed. This process is usually called the process of mantra chaitanya. Chaitanya word in Sanskrit means the activation or the mantra or the seed coming to life. So, and the very effort that one makes is often called as udyam or sadhana or pratna or sankalp. There are various words, but basically that means that some effort is required to take care of the seed. Now, what is the purpose? So far, we have discussed about the Beej mantra. We have discussed about two different approaches, the top down and the bottom up, about how to plant the seed. And we discussed about that, okay, one is going to take care of the seed. But what is the purpose? What is the significance? Now, the usual mantras that you heard in the videos, and if you look at the popular definition and these things, then most of them are appropriated with a very silly kind of siddhis. You know, these are the things that people ask. That okay, by reciting this mantra, especially the Beej mantra, especially the Shakti mantra on top of it, like Kleem, Hreem, and all that, that can I use a lemon and do something with the lemon while reciting the Beej mantra, and then cause some kind of inimical activity happening between two persons or destroy a person. Even in some of the mantra shastras, you will read about all these stuff. Or another thing is about what's called as typically an akarshan or the attracting someone. So can I attract some person that is of, and that attraction basically means that can I have a love affair with a male or a female depending upon who you are by doing these things. And then third is the can I find hidden wealth under the ground. Sorry about the spelling. So under the ground by doing all these beej mantras. I really don't know. My experience with all these things have not been very encouraging. So far, I have not met any person who can do all these things. There are too many claims around, but my own experience has not been good. But in the Mantra Shastra, it is mentioned that these kind of siddhis are bestowed, are gifted to a person, uh, one who is regularly doing the Beej Mantra. Okay, but I take all these things with a pinch of salt. So the what is the purpose? What is the purpose that we have to ask? That what is the purpose of doing the Beej mantras and all that? And now before that, let's look at one of the another aspect of the when the guru has planted the Beej mantra, or when a person is able to find a Beej mantra in the dream, which is called as the Swapna Diksha. So, what happens at that stage? After that stage, your effort are required. So, and in the Madhyama, where the seed is planted, and now the very word Madhyama means in Sanskrit to be in the middle. So, Madhyama is like a pendulum. Madhyama can go this way, and Madhyama can also go this way. So, when you are putting an effort, your effort should be this way. If you get into all these siddhis and those kind of stuff, it seems to me that you're back to square one. You will go up to Vakri and nothing is going to happen. But the purpose of the Madhyama is to go further on the journey and reach to a stage called Pashanti. That's why, Madhyama is a very dicey kind of a situation, hanging in the middle. It's a pendulum kind of a situation. You can go either way. You have an opportunity in your hands. Either you lose it or you might want to come successful out of it. So Madhyama's journey towards the Pashanti is the right way to do it. That is what the Mantra Shastra describes. Now let's look at the journey to Pashanti. This is our Madhyama. Okay. And from Madhyama we have to go to Pashanti. Okay. That is the right thing to do. When a seed gets planted and it gets activated, and so usually called as mantra chaitanya, when the mantra becomes activated, all these things will automatically happen. Your outward nature, compassion, those kind of things, they will just, these are all byproduct of when the seed gets flourished or gets activated. But the effort or the sadhana has to be towards the pashanti. And what is the purpose? Why one wants to go to pashanti? The Those are very profound questions. If you are going to the Beej sadhana in the mantra shas, according to the mantra shas, then your question has to be very different. If you are in a grief, if you are in a state of sadness, then your question has to be about where do people come from? Why do they die? Why is this universe? Why I am seeing this universe? Those kind of philosophical questions. That is the purpose of the whole mantra sadhana and the beast sadhana. And your question should not be that how I am going to find hidden wealth buried underground. Those are all useless questions, and they are not going to help you. So that is the journey. So towards the pashanti. Now let's look at what pashanti actually means. Now, pashanti, the very word pashanti, this is a very loaded word and a very poetic word, and it is a very profound and meaningful word. And so that is what I thought that I should give the name of my channel, this particular name, pashanti. Now, the very word pashanti means to perceive or to see. So, in a very common kind of a explanation, pashanti means the third eye. In especially if you are aware of the yogic tradition, you know the third eye or the Argya chakra. But in Mantra Shastra, Pashanti means to perceive or to see. Now, some of the other words, and those words are equally very important, and you might want to pay attention to it. One of the word is seers. That's usually used in the Western philosophical tradition. The seers also means to see. You know, see plus R, seers. Okay. And then in Sanskrit, it means the drishta. Drishta also means one that sees. Now the question is, what seeing what? If a person is able to make a journey downward to the Prashanti, and so what he or she is seeing. Okay. Now coming to that, and like I mentioned, that your question should be around philosophical, concerns like am I conscious, or is there a god, is there not a god, or what is this universe, where I have come from, where do people go after they die, those kind of philosophical question. Until now, or if you are in a stage of vakri or madhyama, all your answers are theoretical. When you reflect on these questions like atma, brahma, paramatma and karma, then you have to think that do you know about these things, or maybe you were born in India, or maybe you were born in one of those Hindu or Buddha or those kind of family, and you have that kind of upbringing, and you read those kind of books, so you have some kind of a theoretical answer to concepts like atma, brahma, paramatma and karma, but these are theoretical. You have to sit back and think that okay, yeah, these are only theoretical, you have no experience about it. Similarly, let's say if you are born in one of the Western countries and your whole upbringing is around those kind of books or those kind of churches or those kind of orientation, then you think about the whole origin of the life in terms of, or the God in terms of Trinity, like Father, Son, and God. And in some of the countries, you think about the Qayamat and those kind of things. Or if you are born in maybe one of the tribal areas, then you will have a very different kind of a perception or the idea about the basic philosophical questions in life. So these are all theoretical. These are somebody told you. These are not your experience. These are not your experience. somebody told you, read in the in some books, or your parent told you. So these are all theoretical. Pashanti means getting an answer, getting a practical answer to all these questions. That's why, this word means to perceive or to see. This is a state of consciousness where you are able to see, not where you are able to think, not where you are able to conceptualize, but you are able to see and see for yourself that what are the answers for these kind of questions. That is what Pashanti actually means. And so the Beej mantras downward journey will take you to the Pashanti, where you are able to see for yourself all these answers. So that's why the word Pashanti means. And then finally, of course, beyond Pashanti, you have this Para. And Para in Sanskrit literally means beyond, or one that transcends everything. Okay, so nothing can be said about Para, but here, before I end my video, I can just say you that this is the seat of Om, especially in the Mantra Shastra. Maybe in some other video I am going to discuss that. And but typically Para is about the Sehsrar. Okay, and the Sehsrar chakra is beyond your body. It's not a part of your body. So it's something beyond. That is what the Para means. The video has already become too long, so I would just say thank you to you, and I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Leave your comment. Thanks.